what looks easy peasy lemon squeezy but is actually difficult lemon difficult. Drawing something from memory, like a bird or something. Asterisk in mind, yep, that's a bird. Asterisk. On paper, that's a bird. Draws squiggly lines far away in the horizon. Birds. Reminds of the bicycle challenge. Go draw a bicycle from memory right now. Just take a pencil and paper or open paint at this very moment and draw with your mouse. Turns out everyone knows what a bicycle looks like, but almost nobody can draw it correctly without looking it up before. Shit, I relate so hard. Looks at screen. Alright, just gonna mimic this bend in the arm real quick. Shit. Why is he half Slenderman, half governor of Munchkin Land? The brain cuts a lot of corners when memorizing shapes. So when you have to recall that shape from memory, suddenly there's a lot missing. People struggle with this when it comes to writing Chinese, Japanese characters as well. It's surprisingly easy to learn to read, but very hard to learn to write. Digging. Anytime it's shown in movies or TV it looks easy AF, but the second you have to grab the shovel and break dirt, blah. Here, just let me dig up this 6-foot deep grave with a shovel. Less than 20 minutes later, greater than. Welp. All done. Agreed. One of my pet peeves in movies is where they dig a grave. Especially in the woods. With a shovel. Pickaxe, then shovel. Our ground is clay and rock. Fuck digging holes. When I was kid, my parents decided to replace their above-ground pool. The new was about a foot bigger than the old one. They made us help dig out the sides so the new one would fit. I learned to appreciate the value of professional installation that summer. As someone who has done a ton of plumbing with my dad, I feel this. I talk about this all the time. My dad wanted to save money, so we dug up the front yard to figure out a sewer issue. The hole was probably 3 feet wide, 5 feet long, 5 feet deep. Took 2 of us 2 full afternoons. Probably 4-ish hours each. Fuck those movies where a grave is dug in an hour. Fuck them. The first hole's the hardest. Flying remote-controlled helicopters. It looks so effortless when watching seasoned flyers, but in reality it's like balancing a marble on an upturned bowl. I'll never forget the time I went out and bought a decently priced helicopter. 5 minutes into setting it up, I didn't even get it 3 feet off the floor before I smashed it into a chair, destroying the rotor blades. I tried maybe like 5 to 6 more times before I gave up, and now it hangs in my garage as a monument to my failure. And #X200B. Edit. I was outside. Yeah, 3D helis are pretty tough. I'd say they might be one of the hardest things to learn. Especially since mistakes are so expensive. In general, you can get really good at something just by spending a lot of time doing it. And that's true with helis too, but the price of messing up is so much higher than, say, a video game or an instrument. Usually you don't lose $500 plus from dying once in a video game, or playing one wrong note on piano. Beekeeping. You see videos of these old dudes in their veils and beekeeping suits, and it makes it seem so relaxing and easy. Turns out that bees aren't so good at finding enough food on their own, and they can get sick really easy, and in the winter they can mold. Have you ever seen moldy bees? Sometimes they're not even dead. It's still worth it though. Greater than, have you ever seen moldy bees? Sometimes they're not even dead. Wah. Bees? The biggest problem are varroa mites. If you're a beekeeper anywhere but Australia, your bees do have mites. The only question is how many. I hear about too many well-meaning people who want to save the bees but don't want to put evil chemicals into their hives. And then the mites and the viruses they carry kill the bees their first winter. Make no mistake, if you don't actively manage your bees, they will die. And before they do, they will make a last-ditch effort at survival by abandoning their disease-infested hive and flying away, frequently into somebody else's hive, and massively infecting their bees too late in the season to do anything about it. I had a friend who lost a hive that way. Source: hobbyist beekeeper. I love the idea of beekeeping. My husband and I kept bees on a rural property, a friend's parents, for several years and could never keep them alive more than 1 year. Nothing we did would keep the hive going. We asked the parents if they were spraying anything on their garden, their lawn. They swore they didn't use anything poisonous and had no idea what was going on. Still, we had to keep replenishing the boxes with more colonies. After doing some investigation, we discovered that they were spraying their trees with insecticide. They didn't realize that insecticide kills bees. Oh my God. I just got home from my second day beekeeping. Got stung probably 40 times once my pant leg came off my boot as we only have the waist up. Bee suits. First thing I do after taking off my stuff is sit down and open Reddit. I see this top of my feed. First though is OMG beekeeping. First comment I see is this: what are the odds? Made my day honestly. I feel like shit so I'ma try and sleep now but good luck. Must be a location thing because my mom is a beekeeper and only issue she has is with queens. Making too many bees and having to get more hives. I use a wheelchair and people usually don't believe me when I say that getting around can be difficult, because many of them think that pushing a wheelchair is easy. They literally tell me this. The thing is, when you use a wheelchair all day and it is basically your only means of transportation, it looks more natural. This becomes a problem when I point out accessibility problems. They often don't believe me because they see how I can navigate and assume that it's easy, just because *I* make it look easy. And your arms gotta be ripped by now. My dad was in a wheelchair most my life and he made it look super easy most the time. Buff arms. And didn't like to get pushed anywhere. But I also remember places with small ledges that were hard for him. And an apartment I once lived in where he could never come inside because it was a full flight of stairs up with no elevator. Getting around for him obviously took a lot of work. To this day I'm still pissed to see someone without a plate or placard parking in the handicapped spot. Am in a wheelchair, can confirm is here. Holy fuck. Do people really say this? People are the worst. I feel like most people don't realize that their sidewalks are slightly sloped and crosswalks are little hills. I learned that from trying to get around in a wheelchair. I was very sad looking as I struggled to cross a street. I opened my own eyes to this by doing a little research paper in middle school. It's a present to the class type thing. I was like 14. Lived near Paris. I decided to do it on accessibility. One of my best friend was in an electric chair but lived down south. So it didn't come out of the blue entirely. And holy shit, we have maps of every accessible curb and all in Paris and it's fucking manging. I remember gaping at it. Anyway, once you know the legal requirements for toilets for example, it's an eye-opener. So many places where even if you can get in with your chair, you can't even get to the loo. And even if you get there, they don't have one that lets you in. Or fuck, still too many have tiny cubicles that open inside, which should be illegal, in case you pass out inside and fall against the door, completely blocking access by rescuers with your own body. Anyway, fuck people who think a 10 cm stone curb is easy peasy. Especially for all manual wheelchairs users who don't have bloody engines. I am on the road to being a part-time wheelchair user. And the main thing that worries me about it is figuring out how to navigate using it. So many places don't have ramps or the lifts are so tiny you can fit maybe a person and a half. Also, I'm clumsy. What if I roll over people's feet? I'm a crowd you can just squeeze through. With a chair, you have to sit and wait while people stare at you and then ask what's wrong with you. Oh, and hills. How the heck do I manage to not zoom down and then crash? Because I know the urge to just zoom down will be very strong. Finding the person I always saw myself falling in love with. Are you the person that person is going to fall in love with? I dated someone for 9 years. And then in my I'm 26 and haven't ever tried out the dating scene phase. Broke up with the best person I've ever been with. I happened to look him up earlier today, and all he does is flaunt flashy items he buys. His old art website is now a tribute to his new wife, half naked in different settings. He's gone vegan and apparently now supports PETA. Not agreeing or disagreeing with any of these things. It just made me realize that sometimes people change themselves in order to try and beat that person. There's some issues in my current relationship, but one thing I can say is, I'm glad he's just being him, whether that means the end of us or not. Edit. Phone slipped. I pressed enter mid-sentence. I found her, but I was clearly not hers. For what reason did you believe that would be easy peasy? Put on beer goggles and it's easy peasy.
That's it!